Hello, everybody. This is your host, Khadijah D. Welcome back to the Hear Our Voices podcast, where we tell stories, give resources, and change the narrative of homelessness, guys. Thank you so much again for listening and tuning in. So, guys, it says that you guys are downloading, but after I download, I can't tell if y'all are watching. This is on Anchor slash Spotify kind of thing, guys. So I can't tell. So if you are, please give us at least a watch, like even if it's like a couple seconds, so I know the numbers can be calculated properly. On YouTube, I don't even know if people are downloading, not to be honest. I just know people are watching, so I'm excited about that. We are growing on YouTube, guys. We got at 110 right now. Again, like I said before, it doesn't seem like a big number. We came from far, okay? I'm a one-person band right now. I used to have at least one person helping with descriptions. I don't have that anymore. So to get on that, we're actually hiring a person for the narrative change team. I'm the leader of that. I am the host of the podcast, as you might know. And we need people to help with descriptions, to go out to rallies with me, to record, be on camera if they want to, be on the podcast if they want to. We have a position open to that to be qualified for that, guys. And social media, that's a big one. You need to know how to use social media. Like we are on TikTok, we are on Instagram, we are in Threads. So you need to know how to use those platforms properly to be able to help me successfully. I would love to hire everybody. The truth is, I cannot. You have to have a skill set that will be able to help our team grow, or basically make our team grow and to help us build a community. That's one thing I feel like is hard on social media is building a community and making sure that people are informed of the right information and also getting people's stories out there in the right hands and to the right people. So yes, so to qualify for this particular position is the same thing to qualify for the podcast, actually. Other if you're a family person giving out information. So if you are a parent, right? And for it's kind of different actually. If for the podcast, if you're in any state, you can come on the podcast. For this particular person, we want you to be based in New York City. So just be aware of that. And you have to be a parent who had a child in shelter, housing insecure, evictions doubled up, those kind of situations. If you had a child under 21 with you when this was happening, we'd love to have you on our team. Also, if you were that child in that situation with your parent, we'd love to have you on our team. You know what I'm saying? So please, God, I would like to have some young blood on the team. I'm not gonna lie. It would be nice to have a person out there who, especially the younger people, they know how to use the internet more. They're more tech savvy. I would love to have you teach me stuff. I'm never too old to learn something. So I definitely love you to apply. Go to NYC, Hear Our Voices email. The email will be down below. Also, if you would like to help volunteer or even help with our policy team, which is another sector that we have for the Family Action Board, which we call the FAB, that link will be down below if you want to help us with we have events coming up. We have events throughout the year. We go into shelters. We help with, not help, we coordinate events, parties, events. We did a sip and paint last year. Yeah, we did two sip and paints last year. We did a game night this year, and we have other activities coming up for people in shelter. One thing I want to make sure we are fighting for policies do take a long time. Let's be honest. If you are anything in this political world, it's not happening overnight. Well, some things be happening overnight. And I'm like, whoa, I get up and I'm like, how did that happen so fast? But when things are fighting for the right cause, those particular things and pillars do not get changed overnight. They actually sometimes take years and it's exhausting, to be honest. But the problem while these things are getting pushed and pulled in different directions, people are behind it. A lot of times people just see numbers, but the behind the numbers are people, families, individuals, people's lives, and those things are important. So I like to talk to the people in shelter, to have fun with them, keep their mind off of the situation, especially when family shelters, we give daycare services while we do these we're starting to do more daycare services while we do these events so the parents they can still see their kids depending on where the event is, but also be able to have a rest and have like a load off. You know, your kid is safe because they're in the same room with you most of the time, but you also have time to just be with yourself, unwind, have adult conversation, which for parents sometimes, that especially single parents, that can be hard because we're all around our kids. We're making sure our kids are, good. but in this times we give usually give out care packages. So if you wouldn't donate certain things like that too, in big quantities, if you're an organization who's listening to this, we would love donations in that way. We would love to have different things, toothbrush, toothpaste, face masks, things in those kind of particular things that we would love to have for our organization to be able to give out to shelter residents, right? So that's where we are at right now. Please follow us on our social media, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, etc., YouTube, etc., etc., etc. And when my team grows, I hopefully those channels grow. And this is a long introduction, guys, but I promise you those things were important to get in the way. I don't want to do it at the end. You don't stay at the end, which you should honestly be watching to the end of, not listen, watching, listening to the end of this podcast. You should be on a treadmill right now, listening to hear these stories and hear these resources and how it can help you or it can help somebody else with anything that we do. So I guess today, as normal, we have not yet normal. We always have try to have our best to have a guest on this particular podcast. We have Taylor. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit before he comes on. His mother came on, Elizabeth, and she has been on a podcast, I want to say twice. She came on a couple of years ago and she came on earlier this year. And you can listen to that couple of episodes back. I would say I remember the topic for her episode. I do not remember, but the one couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure has her name in it, to be honest. And then her daughter came on a couple of weeks ago, which I'm excited about. And now I got her son. And I am excited to have his perspective. He's actually older than his sister. So, when you're older, you get to seep in more than your younger siblings and realize some things that they don't realize. But yes, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you're up to right now?
Um, okay. My name is Tyler. I'm a third year student uh in college, and I'm honestly just trying to survive. I have kind of like spent the last year in between like focusing in employment, focusing in school, and trying not to slip back into like that state of homelessness that I experienced.
Got you. Understandable. Can you tell me how many times do you remember that you've been homeless in your lifetime?
Twice.
Twice. Okay. Once too many, guys. I'm just saying. But we could see that the kids are our future. Right now, he's a college student, and that if we don't point to our children properly, they can go different ways. And his mother has I want to say it's 5 kids or 6 kids. I forget the number all the time. Like she said before, and she has been successful. People think a lot of things about people who are homeless and all these backgrounds, but we can see that she has raised an amazing child. He's in college, he's doing his thing, he's trying his best not to go back to where he is. And we have to put more in the system to make sure that all kids who want to go to college is not for everybody. Let's be clear. Even though I went to college myself, I have my bachelor's degree, but the kids who want to go to college and want to do these great things, we have to make sure we don't break their dreams while they're so young in shelter that they can't make it out and be successful. And because his mother is strong, that's why he's able to do these things. I'm not saying that other mothers are not, but she probably had more resources than some who are not making it out as so successfully. So, yes. Um, can you tell me the first time you were in shelter? How old were you? And did you realize what was happening when it was happening?
Yeah. I believe the first time we were in the shelter, I was like 4 or 5 years old.
Mm,
Um, I did not, it did not register at the time to me that like we were homeless, just because like at that point, my perception of homelessness was like you're out on the street or like you don't actually have a place to sleep. In my mind, we had a place to sleep.
right,
Because of how long we were there, it kind of felt like a home of sorts, but it's like now looking back at it, no, it wasn't a home. It wasn't prison, but it wasn't welcoming.
got it. It makes sense.
Um, oh, sorry.
No, I say it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
I think for a lot of younger kids, I think their perception of homelessness is that way. Honestly, me as an adult, before I went homeless, that was also my perception. So I think, to be honest, because if anybody knew, I grew up in Queens. I didn't grow up around, I didn't really see that much homelessness unless I'm out on Jamaica Avenue. And it's still compared to the numbers what actually are in New York City for the time that I grew up in. I didn't see that much. And when the few times I went into Manhattan, I saw a few here and there, but it didn't look that much. I knew what shelters were, but I still didn't comprehend how much people are in there. And as you know, people in shelters are the hidden homeless, right? So your perception, I could say for a child and some adults is spot on, right? What you
Yeah, because
think, yeah,
society kind of not forces that perception, but the way homeless people are depicted within a lot of like media, you would not expect, oh, the family that like is living in like they have a roof over their head. They're not homeless, but no, that is also textbook homelessness. The only difference is that society cares just enough to say, hey, the children shouldn't be sleeping outside on the streets at night.
that's true. And I feel like it's not true because why I say it's true,
Mhm.
kind of for New York City, is because we do have a thing, we have right to shelter. It's been
Yeah.
going back and forth with the mayors here and there. I'm not really
Yeah.
have been watching this particular mayor, but I know that was a thing. And the way they have us living in shelters as families is very different. But other states, a lot of times are not implemented family shelters that some shelters places don't have family shelters, or if they have it, it's like very few in between. So
Right.
I think New York City, and I want to say maybe LA and maybe Washington, DC, and Chicago, I could think of the top of my head, are the places with probably the most. I could be totally wrong. Don't quote me on this. From my understanding, people I talk to who live in those places and do advocacy and things like that, one of the places who have the most family shelters. LA, I feel like is more single and youth, to be honest, but I could be totally wrong about that. But it seems like America, even though they say they care about kids, they do not. And it seemed apparent in food stamps last year when we got cut.
Yeah.
We know that a lot of families are on it, a lot of singles are on it. We could tell by WIC because WICs are for children and stuff like that. We could tell by food stamp. We could tell because the age of the children have to be documented. And during that shutdown, stuff was happening and people are panicking, food banks and all this stuff is like, do you care that children might starve? It didn't seem like they cared enough about the children, about them
Yeah.
starving. They didn't care about their well-being. They didn't care about these things. And if they did, they would say, maybe I'll give you enough for the kid. The parents need to eat too. I'm just saying, like, at least give a portion and say, this is not for you, it's for your child. And I would say in that, I don't know. It just seemed like they care when it's convenient. They care when the birth rate is down. So they could, with that's
And even then,
important.
it's like they don't care
Yeah.
only because it's like they only care about a certain birth rate, not the
Yeah.
overall birth rate.
Right. And that's
Like,
the
or
problem.
even like they don't care about all children, just certain children. Like,
Exactly. And that's the thing. We should care about, no matter if it's honestly, if it's not the children or adults, I feel like we just care about people in general. And I think
yeah,
that's what the thing is. We need people who care about us in positions that can help the people. The people are breaking their backs in like New York City. If it snows, if it hails, if it rains, we still have to go to work. Whether our train station are flooding, we still have to go to work. That sounds insane. If you watch,
yeah.
we have videos, not AI video, but they probably have AI videos too, of train stations in New York City flooding out and people are walking through the trenches to get to point A to point B, right? Because we are a commuter city, right? And New Yorkers, people say a lot about us, but we go through the trenches of life. And
Oh
it
yeah.
seems like they don't care about us enough, and they seem like they don't care about our kids. Now we're getting universal, not I say fully universal childcare, but we're getting more childcare stuff that Man Mandani a couple of months ago talked about with Governor Hochul. So we're getting that. I'm not saying we only need things for children and children and children, but they complain about the birth rate, but you're not giving us money to take care of the kids. And we also can't get daycare, so we can't go to work. People are not going to want to have kids in America if we can't get help to take care of said kids. You know what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
if they really cared about the children, they would make sure prevention is on point. So people wouldn't even have to get in the shelter. They'll make sure that people can be able to when I grew up, the things they talked about is you need shelter, you need clothes, and you need food. If those basic needs are not met, that's going to be a problem for a lot of people. So no matter if they have children or not, that's just a basic need we all need to survive properly. You know what I'm saying? Especially in New York City,
Yeah.
it's cold, you need to be covered. Like you need clothes. So it's a lot. It's a lot. But like I said before, your perception of homelessness is a lot of people, and I think a lot of politicians, which to me that's not good. If a politician have that perception as a child will have that perception. Because you think as you get older,
Right.
you will have a better perception of what it is. But a lot of people are so who run those positions are so far away from actual real people. So they only have one perception, and usually that perception is not correct. And that's a problem. But yes. So when do you think you realized what like where we were at that point? Was it like as an adult and you thought back like, oh, I was in shelter? Or did you realize the second time you went to shelter that the last place you went was a shelter?
I would say it was the second time, but also like around the time the apartment we lived in before that,
Hmm.
both it was like around those times I kind of realized, oh, we're not. I was new to the report. I will say that it was not like a, oh my God, we're struggling. It's a no, we're at the bottom, like we're at the lowest of the low. But it didn't like, occur. It didn't really click to me, I will say,
Right,
that was the case until we were living in that apartment, and then like we went to the shelter and everything. Because the day we were getting processed, in for context to listeners, um, homeless families have to go to an office in the Bronx to like register all information so they can get placed in a shelter.
right,
Um, I'm not sure if this is the case for everybody, but in our case, it took literally all day. I don't know if it was over 12 hours, but at the very least, it took over 8 hours for us to get processed. And it was funny because when we found out the placement, at the time we were kind of cheering because it's like, oh, we've been there before. We know the people, we're familiar. But it's also just like, damn, we're back like we're exactly back at square one.
right.
Um, and it was like, oh, yeah, it was around that it dawned on me, oh, we're we are homeless. We're not just jumping from place to place for fun. It's because we can't afford anything else.
Got it. The place that he's talking about is called Path, and it's in the Bronx. And a lot of families have to go through that way when they regular. If you go through the DV way, they have hotlines for you. They also have a DV, which is domestic violence, in Path called Nova. So a lot of families, they do have private shelters also in New York City, but they usually a lot of times have waiting lists. So majority of the families in New York City do go through Path in the Bronx. And one thing I want to say, Path is, I feel like, it's not, it's hard to get to. If you're,
Yeah.
it's hard to get to say the least. I'm trying to find the right word for it. I have it in my brain, but it's like I see it and it can't come out. But what I'm trying to say is that when you're a parent and you have one kid, two kids, because you have to have a kid to even go there,
Right.
it's hard for you to get to that area unless you live in the Bronx or live in the part of Manhattan where there's a bus going straight there. And they have a
And
bunch of
even
trains.
then,
Yes, yes,
it's it's not super accessible
it's not.
given its location because of It's close to like a major train station, but it's also far enough from like most of the city.
Yes. And this is one thing I want to advocate. We talk about a lot of different things is happening. We're talking about bad, but we have to also give solutions. A solution I want to give is give us more of these intake centers. My
Hmm.
suggestion for a lot of people were put them in the HRA centers. Enough people go there, know where they are in their local neighborhood. They honestly get placed better for their kids with schooling. If you don't know, you're supposed to get placed based on the youngest kid in public school in your family. So if you have 10 kids, if little Amy is 5 and the other one is 17, they're gonna put little Amy's school to be the person, like the area that the kids go to school at. That's what they say. Does it normally happen? Honestly, it does not. It doesn't happen. That's the rules, but it doesn't happen, and that's a slight problem. Um, but it's very inconvenient to people who are going through a crisis to have to pick up all their stuff, bring their kids, even though the rule right now you don't have to bring your kids. The problem with that is that if it takes all day, which for a lot of people it does take all day, as was said, and mind you, this was a while ago. It still take all day now. It took all day when I was in
Yeah.
shelter in 2015 and 2014. No, 2015, I'm gonna say 15 and 16. The years are now about. My daughter's 10. She's born in 15, so it's 15. And I was also when I was pregnant, I went there before I was pregnant. So so it's like no matter what year you're in, even though they do have changes, the changes are so minute, it's not making a big impact on the timing of things that are happening. And I know they have to find which beds are available and which things like this, but people are there waiting all day to get registered. It's a painful experience. Why not have it in a different areas in New York City and probably give those workers over there a little break of who's coming in?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's like it's ridiculous to be honest. And we could do something else with that building. The building don't have to be as big as it is if you put it in multiple different boroughs. But that's just my suggestion. I'm not sure who's listening, but if you could make that happen, that would be great.
Even if it's just like one other location in like Brooklyn or Queens.
Yeah,
Because ideally, there's like several other locations. If it's just the one, it would make it significantly easier for people to go and get the help they need versus everybody having to like kind of like congregate in that one area.
yes. I lived on a very far area of Queens when I had to go to the bath. And it was a lot. It was a lot to do it. Like to be honest,
Hmm.
the first time I went to Path and they denied me. And the second time I went to Path and they denied me. And I came a year and changed later or so. And I finally got in. At that point, I was living in Brooklyn, so I was much closer. But still, it's like at the time I had the baby, I had the stroller, I had all these things. And that's where you had to bring your kid to Path, or they wouldn't want to see you because it's like, are you really do you really have a kid? If I have a birth certificate, why doesn't like they make things so much harder than it has to be, to be honest. At this point, we
They
could just
do.
go on the app. We can go on they have apps for everything. They have apps to deliver food. In LA, they have robots delivering food to people. There's no way you can't tell me I can't go on the app. A Path app, you have access to HRA already, which is for your HRA case, which is human resources. They do PA, SNAP, and all those things. I should be able to, even if you're going to build them, it should be two things. Some people are just not good with technology, so they need a building to physically go to. Other people are great with technology. Most people have a phone. If you have a Path app, you log in on that thing, you can probably get a person to talk to. You do your interview, everything through that, and they can tell you where to go. That could save a lot of people could be at work literally not miss a day of work, miss a day of pay, any of those things, and they can have a Path app. That would be so much better than people waiting at a place, being annoyed, crying babies, people hungry, they don't want you inside.
Yeah.
Come on, Path app. I'm just saying, but just it's it's annoying. We need to have
It
a Path
is.
app. So that's I gave out two solutions. You can use one of them, but you have to use something. Like
Ideally both.
right. Right. Oh my gosh. So the second time you were there and you realized you were in this position, did did you feel upset? Did you feel angry? Do you like, I just have to do what I gotta do? How did you feel? How do you remember how you felt and what happened next?
I don't even know if I was just upset, more so just kind of like hopeless because it's just I had vague memories of that place from the first time around, but it never really like registered in my mind what that place was. Because again, the first time I was there, I was like 4, 5 years old, and then it's like the second time I was 14, I believe,
Mm,
because um yes, I was 14 because we had went in there. That day actually was my mother's birthday, so she basically spent her birthday
dang.
going to the shelter and doing all that not really fun stuff. And it was like towards the end of my freshman year,
Mm.
so it was a lot, and it also kind of made me feel, not really guilty, but more so just like, oh, I should try to do something, but it's like you're 14 years old. What could you possibly try to do that everybody else in your family has not already done?
I understand. I know in certain places, I'm not sure how big it is now. I probably should look up the statistic. Like kids working. I know with everything happening with the ABOD and the welfare system and how the new rules have rolled out in March, um, they the certain qualifications they had before is a bit different based on your kid's age and things like that. But I think for that, like you said, we don't want kids to feel hopeless. And when that happens, society, if a bunch of kids are going through these things and a bunch of kids feel hopeless, that means that's going to affect the society in a way that's not positive.
Hmm.
So we want to make sure we uplift our kids. It shouldn't be our children feeling hopeless. And obviously, it's not your fault. It's just the situation life gives us,
It's
and it makes
not.
us
It's
stronger. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah, continue. Sorry.
so I know you like I feel like you can kind of see it in the work. You can kind of see like that hopelessness among the nation where everybody kind of, given the political state we're in right now,
Right,
nobody kind of sees any kind of light at the end of the tunnel.
right.
I can't blame them. Um, it, it's like you want to try to help them, but it's like you can't. You, the one person, can't do anything on your own.
It's true.
But that's why you need community.
You do. We need to be together as one. And the sad thing, sometimes when we're even together, they take us out. And that's the sad part about it. It's like we're some people are trying to make sure we are staying afloat and we're not drowning in this Titanic world in America. But people get hurt in the meantime while that's happening. I'm thinking about the lady in granted, I feel like people forgot about it's in Minnesota who got shot in her face
Hmm.
by the ICE agent. And it's like people are either they're stepping back or they're coming in to help. And it's like they're taking us out. So it's like if you want to do certain things, it's like you feel almost scared to do it because it's like, am I gonna lose my life today for something I believe in? And can I afford that? Like particularly certain things and certain rallies I don't go to. I will use my voice
Right,
platform. I will do certain things. If it's at City Hall, I'm gonna go, and even that, I'm like, as a person, they have metal detectors. You just never know who could shoot through the gate. That might sound crazy
right,
to say that, but we don't know. People are crazy. People have taken cars and drove it into things. People will do anything to get their point across, even if you're trying to be a nonviolent. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a single mom,
right,
so it's like I gotta think: is me helping all these people and getting hurt and maybe dying better than my daughter going to foster care system and hopefully she gets a good parent, like a parent to take care of her, if they even want her because she's 10. She's like an older kid. So most times, most people want babies because they're so cute and so this and that, because then they're easier to mold into what you want them to be. They don't want the older kids because they think a lot of them are broken and they come from this and that and kind of stuff. So it's like,
Yeah.
do you want to put your child in this predicament? And I'm not a person who has, I would say, a community and such that if something happens to me, my kid, I put stuff in place, but I didn't put it honestly in place properly. I need to work on that. That's a side story. But it's so hard, and you don't want to leave your child, especially for me. I don't leave my child under 18. We all gonna die eventually in time, but I don't want to leave her to society who doesn't care that much about her, and she's not an adult yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So,
completely understandable.
so another thing I would say, what we should do with the hopelessness, and you saying that you would wish you could help. I think we need to have more jobs for youth. I feel like it was more DYCD stuff happening when I was younger. I feel like it's not as much as it used to be, or it's just not readily available to everybody. But I know they used to have after school programs for, I know the Beacon program does it, have like younger people watch the younger, like I want to say high school students watch elementary school kids ages or so. I think we need to have more programs like that and be able to teach young people. Like example, I've told people this many a times. High school students would be the great people to work for HRA. Probably not for
Yeah,
every little
I
thing.
got
Just easily scan something in, like something simple, especially a high school senior. That's a skills. They always say you can't work here because you have no skills. But if you put people in those city jobs when they're younger, they're gonna have more alliance with you because they're there for so young. You gave me an opportunity. I'm gonna stay here longer. And and I think if they're under, I would say 21 to me, under 24, why I say this, with when you have financial aid for school, for college and stuff like that, financial aid is when they get people have tap and pell, based on where you live and da 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 da, and you get money for schooling, um, you have to use your parents' income unless you're emancipated. In New York City, I feel like
mhm.
it's harder to get emancipated. I believe children under a certain age should not have to, they don't usually ask for your stuff, but you just in case you should be able to still get food stamps. You shouldn't take it off of that. If you're still using your parents' income anyway, and your parents are still on food stamps, I personally feel like you should be able to get that until they say for like a financial aid age, you don't need your parents' stuff anymore. Personally, that's for me. I think that would help out young people much better. They'd be able to go on their feet better. And I would say that because when I was 18, I went on food stamps. My mother honestly qualified for it, but she took a while to get on the bandwagon of getting it. And she finally got it. But I'm like, you could have got this my whole life. You were not working enough this whole time. You could have been got this and you had two kids. So for me, I feel like we need to find ways to give young people jobs and put them in these positions so would they be able to successfully do that. HRA always talking about we don't have enough people working. We don't have, if you put young people in there and help them probably update your system, I'm pretty sure y'all be working just nice. Y'all be working efficiently. Obviously, in school
Because
hours, yeah, continue.
there's not a lot, but
No.
there's enough youth that I would say that are motivated enough that would want to work or even just to get paid
Right.
that would be willing to do this kind of work and it would streamline very fast. I
It's
would say like you would have to train them like really well, only because I feel like the existing HRA itself is also not good enough in how they treat people coming in.
it's true.
But I do like it's not the worst. It's not a bad idea. It's not a bad idea.
I think there's many different ways we can get people into different sectors. Like my old high
Yeah,
school had the nursing program, and they would start like going to clinicals in high school. You could start from 10th grade giving people opportunity. Like more high schools need to do some more of the stuff like that. Get them in these fields, get them jobs. Not just credit. Credits is nice because people need credits. Credits cost money, but
right.
give them a way to learn these things. Construction programs. Yeah, I want to have all these adults doing it, which is not a problem. Adults need jobs too. But if you teach a child how to do certain things, like I was in theater, so the kids in my theater, like who did stagecraft, they learned certain skills while they were in high school, but they weren't getting paid for it. You want to do all these public
Mhm.
housings and all these things and fixing things. Bring a child at a certain time of the day, and they can help you to fix a night your apartment. They can help you do all these things. And because they technically are still a child, you don't have to pay them adult wages, but you can give them at least minimum wage. That's how much they get in summer youth, right? To help. You claim you can't fix these things in nature. You can't teach them electrical. Teach them all these skills, 10th, 11th, 12th grade. By the time they get out of school, they have these skills, and America could be greater in those ways. There's many ways we could use our youth, and we complain they're on the street, they're doing this, if you give idle hands, we'll always find things to do. If you make
Hmm.
them less idle, you will be much better and be thankful for it. There's so many things you can have a young person do a job for because they always they already they don't want to pay nobody as it is. They technically are it's afraid to say it, but they are cheaper labor to have. I'm not saying taking advantage of it. They shouldn't. I honestly probably shouldn't do more than 10 to 15 hours a week because they still have to go to school. Grades still have to be good. Things like that have to still be good for them to do these programs. And if their grades are not good, what tutoring things are we having in place to make sure their grades are good and still be able to do something like this to help out their family if they wanted to? I'm not saying force it on every student, but some kids do want money. They want to have their own things. Their parents are not, some parents are getting all this money for themselves, but guess what? This kid still looking a hot mess. Still, I listened to this girl, her mother had 11 kids. The brother had shoes, the shoes, feet are coming out, but the mother had the audacity to buy herself iPads and buy her husband all these stuff. And these kids are struggling. And she had 11 kids. I want to say 10 or 11 kids. So it's like, if you give a lot of kids opportunities, they'll be successful. But if you give them nothing, they're gonna struggle. They can still struggle and be successful, but it'll take them longer to get there. So I think that's some things we could put in place to make sure that the society can run smoother and people can still learn skills and be able to get a job in the future. But yeah, it's it's something to think about. Whoever's listening, you never know who's listening to these podcasts and how it can help
Yeah.
somebody. But yes,
For coming back to Hera Voices, again, where we tell stories, give resources, and change the narrative of homelessness. And we would like for you to come back next week to hear part 2 of his story. And that we would love for you to come and learn from a perspective of a young person's. He's still young. He's young when it happened, and how COVID and these things really affect our children. And as parents, I don't want you to feel like a failure, but I want you to know that your children are going through it with you. That's the one, and that it's okay. Things happen.